somebody is trying to help you and you are making it difficult for them. In my head. Hello, hello. It's not so windy today. This is a good thing. I am going to talk today a little bit about the things that get in the way of healing, because most of us, those of us who do know that we have some sort of mental disorder, some sort of mental illness, we typically want to heal from that. We're usually aware that it's causing some kind of distress in our lives. We want to heal, but there are things that we do that make it hard to heal. So let's talk about those. And the moon is beautiful tonight. I want to show you. So in general, we have two things that might get in the way, and I'm super generalizing here, that might get in the way of other people helping us, and that is when we externalize our symptoms or when we internalize our symptoms. So internalizing could be something like feeling like it's all our fault, feeling like we're bad people, feeling like we will never get better, and shying away from people as a result of that. And externalizing is more along the lines of it's all everybody else's fault, lashing out at people, attacking people, maybe feeling like people can't be trusted, those kinds of things. And those two things, internalizing and externalizing, will get in the way of your healing. So we're going to dig into that a little bit tonight. It's probably going to be a quick discussion, but I like to just bring up a whole bunch of different mental health topics here and see what I can come up with, and hopefully it feeds your mind the way that it feeds mine, and we go on this mental health journey together and we enjoy it and have fun. So let's go. So when we internalize, when we take things in, when we see our symptoms as coming from within inside of us, we feel shame, we feel like we are to blame, we feel like we're defective. And it's hard for other people to help us when our standard response to them is, no, you don't understand, you don't get it, this is how I am, this is how I've always been, it's never gonna change. There's no, you basically leave somebody with no option. It's a very defeatist attitude, and it may be very true, and let me say this before I continue on, it may be very true that you may be at fault for something that happened. Now, I don't like to place blame on people for things, but it could be that maybe you harmed somebody, you physically assaulted somebody, let's say, and you know that you did that. So yes, it could be true that you did something. That doesn't mean that you are not able to change that in yourself. And this is something I strongly believe about mental health and mental illness, is that we cannot just accept defeat. We cannot just believe that this is the way that things are always going to be. There are a lot of therapies out there for a lot of different problems, and until you've tried them all, you can't just say, well, that things are never going to change. And chances are you haven't tried them all. Now, even if you were to try them all, people are still developing new therapies, and you can be part of that. You can fight to learn what is going on out there, and fight to learn about it, and fight to try to improve upon the situation. You always have a choice in the matter, and that's not to victim blame you in any way. That's not to make you feel like, to make you further feel like it's your fault for anything, because the idea here is to get out of that mindset. However, when you always internalize and you always make it so that you are defective, that things can't be fixed, you never give the opportunity for somebody else to help you. And most of the problems that we have when it comes to mental disorders are interpersonal. they involve other people being in our lives, whether that be work related, having trouble finding a career or getting a job or starting your own business, or however career looks for you, or in another direction relationship wise. I'm somewhere I'm not supposed to be, so I'm going to move. Well, that was very odd. I was walking away from where I was because a security car pulled up and I wasn't supposed to really be there. They didn't ask me anything, which I thought was weird. I pulled off my headphones and everything, but they didn't say anything. But as I continued down the road and continued further down the road, somebody came out of the shadows, which may have been the reason the security guard pulled up in the first place. And then they continued walking in front of me, maybe, I don't know, a couple yards in front of me. And they went the same direction that I always go in, and it was just very awkward. So I decided to stop here and talk with you, just to kind of get away from that awkwardness. So I was mentioning internalizing and how we make it hard for people to help us when we always make it so that we are internal. We're not coming out of that shell in a way, you know, we're avoiding contact with other people. However, we have not been able to get out of whatever mental health issue we're having on our own, so we need other people to help bridge the gap and get us out of that, whether that be through some kind of talk therapy or through medication or whatever it may be. We do need other people, so internalizing will prevent you from getting the help that you need. We're also going to talk about externalizing. There's a car going around in a circle in the parking lot nearby, and it's making me feel weird. Okay, so externalizing. Perfect example of externalizing. I have a feeling, and I am externalizing it. So I'm taking my feeling, and although technically I'm owning my feeling as my own, but externalizing would be taking that feeling and putting it outwards. And things that look like externalizing could be paranoia, as you've probably seen many times here with myself and my environment. It could look like getting angry and defensive, like it's your fault that I'm this way, or it's your fault that this is going on, or you're abusing me, that kind of a thing. And again, let's go back and say sometimes externalizing is appropriate. Sometimes somebody else legitimately is the cause of you feeling some way. But when we're talking about disordered thinking and disordered feeling, we're talking about something originating within ourselves, or the intensity level within ourselves being a little bit more than would normally be appropriate for something, and then we're taking that and externalizing it because we can't hold it in our bodies anymore, or we were never taught how to hold that emotion, so we externalize it. And the same thing goes with internalizing. Maybe we weren't taught how to tolerate our own emotions, so we just thought that we were defective or there's something wrong with us. But externalizing is seeing it as coming from outside of us, and that also makes it hard for somebody else to help you, because typically when you're externalizing, you're defensive, and you say things like, well, you're trying to hurt me, you don't understand, because you don't know what you're talking about. That's not really the best examples. What's a better example here? It would be something like, well, you're always lying to me, or people are always mean to me, or, you know, it's the government's fault, or it's my family's fault, or it's anybody else except for me's fault is the reason why I feel this way. When, again, sometimes there are legitimate reasons to say that things come from outside of you, because we do co-regulate with people. However, when we are having this intense emotional reaction to things and it's happening repeatedly, it could be that it's not because of the things that are going on outside of you, it could be within yourself. So, again, you'll see this in paranoia, you'll see this in lashing out, maybe attacking other people, maybe actually physically attacking other people. And you can see why that would be hard to help somebody like that. If you can imagine trying to help somebody who's constantly attacking you, constantly feeling like you're attacking them, because usually when you're externalizing, you feel like other people are coming at you. So it's hard to get through to somebody who always feels like you're attacking them. There's no trust. There's no way to convey information that will help them. And same thing with paranoia. If somebody feels like other people are always out to manipulate them, always out to use them, they're not going to have that trust to get the help that they need. So you have to take some personal responsibility for the things that you're experiencing in your mental disorder. And you could say, well, my temperament, my genetics, my biology, or whatever is such that I can't do that. And what I would say to that is, number one, be cautious that you're not internalizing. But number two, if that's the case, you still have to do everything in your power to get to a place where you can get to a medication that makes it easier for you to manage these things. Some people may necessarily need medication. I'm not saying that's for everybody, but if things are too overwhelming, they're too intense, and you cannot form a trust with anybody else, then there's no possibility for talk therapy or psychoanalysis or any other form of interactive therapy like that to actually be able to help you. I guess you could try self-help, but you still have to trust the author of the book you're reading or the course that you're taking or whatever. So internalizing, externalizing, not so good. This can go the opposite direction too. You can have internalizing feelings about yourself and feel overly good about yourself and like you don't need other people because you are so wonderful and you're so happy all the time and things are great, and that can be an overestimation of the way that you're feeling. And it can be externalized as well, where you feel overly attracted to other people, overly like they are happy and wonderful, maybe like you sexualize them. So it can go in that direction too, and that can also get in the way of help, because if you're so focused on how attractive somebody is, for example, hold on. Well, I had some company as usual, and it was loud company, so I had to move. But if you are thinking too highly of yourself, then you may overestimate your ability to deal with your own symptoms, and so that would get in the way of being able to help you because you think you got it, you can do it on your own, which is unfortunately something that happens a lot. And then there's also externalizing that loving feeling and feeling like somebody else is going to fix all your symptoms for you and you don't have to do any work because they're going to be your savior. Or it could be something along the lines of being so distracted by the attraction you have to a therapist or a friend or something so that you can't hear what they're saying. You're just enamored by them. So internalizing and externalizing are going to get in the way of your healing. What you need to do is what I'm going to get to next when I find some better lighting, because I think this might have to be the little teaser in the beginning of the episode. I wound up in the yellow light. There's just not that many places that I can have privacy. I had another place that I was about to start, and then car pulled up. I don't know why everybody is out in these like random parking lots in the middle of 11 o'clock at night, but apparently I'm not the only one who wants to be out doing things at this time. Here I am in the suburbs, for those of you that don't know. So the suburbs of Long Island. So what you need to do if you are somebody who's doing these behaviors, what you need to do if somebody is trying to help you and you are making it difficult for them is to get in touch with your own emotions. Get in touch with how things feel in your body. You need to calibrate to know whether or not the way that you are feeling things is actually helpful or not, whether the way you are feeling things is correct, and you're going to need somebody else to be able to do that. You can't do that on your own often when you are disordered. So be aware of that. Be aware that you can't always do it on your own. You know, even people who are not disordered couldn't do it on their own when they were children. You know, we had to learn from somewhere. And I'm not saying that the cause of every mental disorder is through learning through other people, but other people are going to be the way that you heal. Not saying that it's not your responsibility to take steps to heal yourself, because as we learned, when you internalize, sometimes you feel like it's not your responsibility. It is your responsibility to take steps to heal yourself. However, that is going to be found through the help of other people, and you need to be in tune with your own emotions to make sure that you can be aware of who you can trust and who you cannot trust. Can you trust yourself? Can you not trust yourself? And part of calibrating that is going to be through other people. So I hope that kind of got across what I was trying to get across. It's not a black and white thing, as is everything in life. It's not black and white. It's not so simple. There's not a straightforward answer to how you're going to fix is not the right word, how you're going to help yourself or have other people help you through your particular mental issues. However, you're going to have to learn to navigate this if you want to get better. For one reason or for one way or another, you're going to have to figure this out. So I hope that is helpful. Again, I don't want to have anybody feel like they are blamed for having a mental disorder. The last thing I want to do is stigmatize and make anybody feel guilty for what's going on in their lives. But it's part of getting better is through the help of other people, and I want to make you aware of how you may be hurting your own chances. One last thing that I do want to say is that we all internalize and we all externalize, whether we have a mental disorder or not. It's just, you know, we all have these things that we do, and that's something I try to get across in this channel, is that people with mental disorders, they're not so far removed from people who are not, who are mentally healthy. It's not that big of a difference. So we all do this to some extent, but I would like to hear from you. If you do have a mental disorder, have you seen that you do any of these behaviors? Do you internalize things? Do you externalize things? You can certainly do a combination of both. So if you see that you do one of these in particular, it stands out to you, I'd like you to share that with the community so we can talk about it and learn from each other. And if you like these kinds of videos, I hope that you do. You stuck all the way to the end, so I'm going to assume you do. Hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell if you want to get notifications every time I do a video. If you want to support my channel and get some extra fun footage and stuff along with that, you can support me on Patreon. And thank you as always for being here, everyone.